Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the G&S Podcast. Today, we have a special guest, Bria Glenn, a former G&S intern and a student here at City Tech. During this podcast, Bria will be sharing her insights on the gender and sexuality around City Tech. Without further ado, let's begin this podcast. Hello, welcome to the podcast. Would you please introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Bria. I'm currently a senior at City Tech, and my major is professional and technical writing.
Have you taken any G&S classes? If so, which classes were they and what was your experience like?
So my minor is in gender and sexuality studies. I wanted to explore the idea and the education on gender and how we view it today and how it exists in, today's society. And I felt like these courses would help me get to that point, and they definitely have. So I fulfilled all 12 credits for the minor. So I took Blacks in Media, I took Gender, Culture, and Society, Intro to Women Writers, and Studies in Identity and Orientation. And each course offered a different perspective, but they all meshed together in the end. And in one class, when I would finish with that class, I would find something to relate it to in another class, and I found that they all connected and they all intersected one another. And I had a great experience with my professors and their ability to make it open conversation and open dialogue between us and my classmates. There was never a time where we were silenced or there was any aggression or anything like that. I found that each course I was just learning so much, and my world was being opened in a way that I had never experienced, because gender and sexuality, it can be kind of taboo in certain cultural spaces. And so just learning more about it, I go into the world differently and I experience different people, and I know how to interact with them. And I understand that at the end of the day, we're all humans and we have different experiences, we have different feelings, but that doesn't change the way we should treat one another.
How do you perceive the atmosphere of gender and sexuality on campus?
City Tech is a commuter school, meaning a lot of people, most of the students commute back and forth from home, work, and to the school. And so a lot of times, we probably don't take time to sit in the school and, experience the events that are going on and things like that. I feel like because we exist in a city where it is a melting pot, I think in City Tech there have been advances made to protect gender and sexuality diversity. I think we still have ways to go, but I don't think that it's ever been in a negative light. I've never experienced any harsh treatment of anybody that considered themselves outside of the, typical gender identities. I think there can definitely be more of a highlight on gender and sexuality.
What are your thoughts on the gendered bathrooms on campus? What accommodations do you think the campus should offer for transgender and non-binary students?
When it comes to transgender and non-binary individuals who may not feel comfortable going into these gendered bathrooms, and they may not feel comfortable going into the opposite gender's bathrooms, there should be a few designated singular bathrooms that can be used for this purpose. I noticed that we have faculty bathrooms and then we have the larger bathrooms for the men's and women's restrooms. Just recognizing that these are spaces that can be occupied not only by women going to a women's restroom or men going to a men's restroom, but those who are non-binary and those who are transgender, they should feel comfortable to exist in these bathrooms too, because that is their right.
What events do you think the G&S program should offer?
As far as events, I think so far the G&S program has definitely had a lot of creative and fun events. I can't really think of any right now at the top of my head, but I think just continuing to put the program out there and make sure people know about the program. I know the program did a t-shirt making class, which I think is really fun. That can, bring people in and get people to know more about the minor and the minor program.
Have you taken a look at the G&S Instagram account? If so, what are your thoughts?
Yes, I've definitely taken a look at the Instagram for the Gender and Sexuality Studies program. I love it. I think it's very colorful, which I think is very important. It pops out as a page. Jada, I know we've talked about this. You introduced it to us in our internship class, and I immediately followed. So I've been keeping up with the events that you guys have been having. I know you guys had the Wikipedia-thon recently, and I think you're doing a great job with updating the page and just keeping us up to date with announcements. I love the fact that there's a highlight for you and Professor Westengard. I think that's very important. People know your face and know her face as well, especially because you've put a lot of work into the website and you put a lot of work into the Instagram page.
What year were you a G&S intern? What was your experience like, and what did you learn?
So I was a G&S intern for the spring semester of, I think, between 2022 and 2023. My main responsibility was updating the website, keeping it up to date with the course information and the events. And I definitely liked working with Professor Westengard. I learned editing skills. I learned computer skills. I learned how to edit a website and work the functions of OpenLab and WordPress. I hope that I created something that was a great foundation for continuing interns such as you and those that are going to come after you to have something to work with. That was my intent, to create a great foundation and have it be something that can be built upon and continuously updated and just look new and young and vibrant. And so I think that was my main intent.
What advice would you give to the next intern?
Any advice I would give to next semester's interns, I would say don't be afraid to think outside the box. Those who've come before you have definitely laid a great foundation for you to build on top of, but there's always more ideas. There's always more ways to do something. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to change things. Don't be afraid to research something if you don't know how to work a function or create something. So I think just always thinking about what you can do to make it great and continuing that legacy of the work that has been done before you is really important.
All right, and that was the last question.
Thank you so much for having me as a guest. I really appreciate it. I definitely did some thinking of my own as I was answering the questions, just going back down memory lane, thinking about when I did my internship with Professor Westengard for the G&S program. Jada, you've been doing a great job with the internship. and just creating greater things. And yeah, keep up the good work.
Thank you for the kind words and thank you for joining. This has been episode 2 of the G&S Podcast. Stay tuned for more interviews. This has been Jada. Bye.